Good morning. Welcome to Pilates Flow. Thank you so much for being here. This is the last Pilates Flow class of 2021. So let's make it a good one. We're going to get started with a little warm up. Plant your feet down on the floor. Put a little micro bend into your knees. Reach through the crown of the head. And just close your eyes for a moment and take a few deep breaths. Just noticing your abdominals. Noticing the movement that happens with your inhales and your exhales. Taking that air all the way out to the very end of your exhale, and then deep inhale to the top of your lungs. Exhale it all out. Let the shoulders soften, opening up the eyes. Let's come into some neck circles, looking to the right, dropping that right ear behind the shoulder. Let the chin float up. Coming around, looking at the left shoulder, drag your chin across your chest, back over to the right. Ear falls behind, chin floats. Looking over that left shoulder and coming to center, two to the left, over to the left. Float around. Drag the chin across the chest and we go again to the left. And up. And over. And then let's bring the head up nice and tall. Reach through the crown of your head. Bringing your elbows in beside you. Palms are facing up like you're holding two plates. And we're just going to do some internal rotation, bringing the arms across your tummy and then opening with some external rotation. Inhale and exhale, open. We don't have a whole bunch of external rotation when we have the arms right beside our body here. So we're just waking up the backs of the shoulders. Exhale, open, and inhale, back. Two more. Floating open, coming in, and last one. And coming in, releasing that. Let your arms feel a little bit softer. We're going to reach the arms out and we're going to allow our spine to flex forward. So as you reach the arms, we're going to tuck the chin and allow the spine to flex forward. As we exhale, we're going to pull in, drag the elbows past your body like a row. So we're going to reach out and exhale, row back. Round down and exhale, pulling back, squeezing those shoulder blades towards each other, rounding down, and standing up nice and tall, squeezing those shoulder blades, and reach, and pull. Nice work. And last one, stand tall, squeeze those shoulders back, and letting that go. We're going to come into some squats. So let's take the arms out to the side, scooping up the air as we squat down. Exhale. Inhale, come up, clasp your hands over to one side. Coming back to center, down, scooping up the air. Arms float, clasp the hands, other side bend. And back to center, scoop it up, and tall. Tipping over into your side bend, nice length through the side of the body. Scoop it up, and other side. Imagine you're between two pieces of glass here as we side bend. Scoop, and the other way. Let's do two more. And scoop it up. Last one, over to the side. Nice length there. And letting that go. Bringing your hands to heart center. We're coming into some curtsies, side to side. Let's drop the shoulders down your back, staying nice and tall here. Just getting a little blood pumping. Keeping the chest nice and proud. And just really exploding off of the front leg as you come back through center. And we're almost there. Waking up our ankles, waking up our knees. Nice job. Let's do 4 more here. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming to center, letting your toes turn out. Finding a wide stance here. We're going to come into a sumo squat. You can start with your hands at heart center, but then we're coming up here, clasping the hands behind the head. Draw over, elbow to knee. Reach the arms long. Bring them back to your head and come up tall. Other side, tipping over, side bend. Reach the arms. Bring them back. Come back to center and let's stand tall, squeezing the glutes. Lowering back down and again, over to the right. Tip over, reach your arms, back to your head, and center. To the left, reach, back, and tall. Let's stand up, legs start to get warm there. Thinking about your pinky toes. Lengthen your spine and tip it over. Reach back to center. Other side. Reach and back. Standing tall, we have 1 more round. Down. Lengthen the spine over. Reach the arms. Back and center. Other side. Over. Reach and back to the head. Come to center, stand tall. Keeping your hands at your head. Let's just go up and down here in our sumo squat. Lowering with control, pressing the floor away. Really waking up those legs, getting some heat going in the legs. Thinking about the outside edge of your foot. 4 more squats here. 4 and 3, 2, and last one. Coming up tall, releasing the arms, walking your feet back together, and just shaking that out. Come to the end of your mat. And we're going to come into some forward folds here, just releasing some tension out of our spine. Gently nod your chin, soften your sternum and lift your abdominals, rounding down. Gently down on this first one. Big breath at the bottom. And now exhale, taking your time, using your abdominals to bring the body back up nice and tall. Rolling your shoulders, and let's go back down again. Gently nod the chin, shoulders follow. Keep that little bend in your knees. At the bottom here, we inhale deeply into your lower back. Exhale, soften. Hands come to the shins, pressing back. Inhale, halfway lift. Let's think about the middle back as if someone had you by a string between your shoulder blades. And let's just stay. Nice long spine here. Reaching your sit bones back behind you, reaching the crown of your head. Let's exhale, soften. Ragdoll up to standing 1 more time. Rolling the shoulders. Staying connected with your belly button here. We're going to get into a little bit more dynamic movement. Nod the chin, ragdoll down. When we get to the bottom, take a breath in. Walking your hands out to your first plank today. Find that perfect plank. Lift through the abdominals. Press your fingertips into the floor. Reach the crown of your head. We're going for 4 mountain climbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a moment. Bend the knees. Walk your hands back to your feet. Forward fold. And ragdoll up to standing. Rolling the shoulders back. Gently nod the chin. And we're back down. Rolling down. Walking it out. Find that perfect plank. Squeeze the glutes. Work on both sides of the body. 4 mountain climbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a moment. Bend the knees and walk your hands back. Finding yourself back in your forward fold. And ragdoll back to standing. Rolling the shoulders. We're going to keep going here. Rolling down. Take a breath. Walk it out. 4 mountain climbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a moment. Bend the knees. Ragdoll back to up to standing. Rolling the shoulders. We have 2 more rounds. Round it down. Walk it out. 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bend the knees. Walk it back. Find that forward fold. And then ragdoll back up to standing. 1 more round. Nod the chin. Round down. Walk it out. Find that perfect plank. Lift the abdominals. And 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a breath in. Bending your knees. And coming to that forward fold. Ragdoll up to standing. And roll the shoulders back. I feel like our bodies should be nice and warm now. We're going back down, just a plank to hold and making our way to our shell stretch. Nod the chin and roll down. Walking it out. Find that perfect plank and hold. If you need to put a knee down, you're going to go ahead and put it down nice and square. Keep the rest of your body engaged. Taking some breaths here. Let's go for 5 long breaths. Big inhale. Exhale, energy through the heels. Big inhale, reach through the crown of your head. Exhale, dig the fingertips into the floor. Big breath in. Exhale, find your abdominals and bring them a little closer to you. And again. Nice, strong shoulders. Last one, inhale. And exhale, lowering the knees, taking a shell stretch. Round your spine over your thighs. Let your head be heavy. Breathing deeply into your lower back. Trying to soften a little bit in the neck and shoulders. When you're ready, you're going to come out to your all fours position. I'm just going to grab my little pad for under my knees. If you are on a hard surface, making sure you're protecting your kneecaps, okay? So coming down into our all fours position, let's just dig our fingertips into the floor, press your hands into the floor, and visualize like you're moving your pinky fingers away from each other. So we're digging into the floor and giving just a tiny little pull out to the pinky finger, okay? That's going to help you activate the underarm muscles, providing you with a nice strong shoulder. Big breath in here. We're exhaling up into our cat stretch. Round your spine, lift your abdominals. Let your head be heavy. Take a big breath in here. And exhale, unravel from the tailbone, taking your time, coming all the way through to our cow stretch, allowing the spine to come into some extension, opening the chest and the front of the neck. Big breath in, let's exhale, tucking the chin, pushing up through the shoulders, rounding our spine back to our cat. Holding there for your inhale. And exhale from the tailbone, releasing the sit bones back, allowing the spine to articulate into that extended position, nice and slow and controlled. Big breath here. And then exhale, tucking the chin, pushing up through the shoulders, up through the mid-back, reaching that rib cage up to the ceiling, and then gently bringing the pelvis under you, finding that last angry cat. Big breath in. And exhale, unravel the tailbone, the spine, one vertebra at a time. And then meeting me back in that extension, feeling that nice softening between the shoulder blades. And then let's unravel that and just shake it off, coming to a long spine. So we're no longer in extension, we're no longer in flexion, we're somewhere right in the middle. We're going to come into a little dynamic movement, tucking the toes underneath you. We'll be pulling one arm up, looking over our shoulder, getting some rotation, putting that down. The other side will come up, like you're pulling your elbow up to the ceiling and down. And then from here, we'll be pushing into what I call like a halfway downward dog. So we're not just hovering, but we're not going to our full downward dog. We're somewhere in the middle, and it looks like this. Here. Okay, so it's like you're lifting your hips, your eyes come down to look at your knees, and then we come back down. Now the modification for this would be to just stick with the little hover, keeping your spine long. So instead you go 1, 2, and then hover, hover. Okay, so there's 2 of each. So let's start with that nice square positioning. Dig your fingertips into the floor, strong through the arms, reach your spine, lift your abdominals. Big breath in, exhale, take your right elbow up to the ceiling, let your sternum turn, let your chest turn. Inhale down, exhale the other side. Inhale down, exhale up into that halfway downward dog. Bring it down, and one more time, up, and bring it down. We're back. Elbow reaches to the ceiling and back. Getting that nice rotation through the upper back, and 2 times up, and back. As you lift, your abdominals come with you. Rotate back, and the other side, and up for 2. Big exhale as you push up. Rotate. Rotate, and 2 lifts. Head comes between the shoulders. Big exhales here. Last round, pull back, and lift for 2. And letting that go, let's take our shell stretch. Notice the warmth in your shoulders. Big breaths into your lower back. And we're making our way out to our tummy. So, coming with your head is going to be on your hands, elbows are wide here. If the legs feel like they want to go a little bit turned out, that's okay. Just keep wiggling your hips until your pelvis feels comfortable on the floor. And from here, we're going to be floating the head and the arms up off the floor. Big breath in, squeeze your glutes, lift your abdominals, and float the chest and upper body. The arms come with. Big breath in, and exhale, lower your head and arms back down. So it's like your hands are glued to your forehead here. We're going to reach through the legs, keep that energy in the lower body as your anchor. Exhale, float the upper body up, squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other. Inhale, and exhale, we lower. We're going to add on here, big breath in, reach through the legs, squeeze the glutes, floating up, we're staying. We're going to go side to side, tapping our elbow down to the floor. Exhale as you tap. Inhale, come through center. Exhale, tap. Inhale through center. Once you find the pattern, you're checking in with other parts of your body. Are your glutes still engaged? Can you feel your belly button drawing upwards from the floor? Inhale through center, exhale, tap. And coming through center, tap. 2 more. Staying lifted here. Come to center and lower the head and shoulders. Shake your neck out if you need to, and then bring your arms and legs long. So now the arms are reaching up above your head. Let's go with the left arm and the right leg. Your nose is hovering just 2 inches off the mat. Exhale, float the left arm and right leg up into the air. Inhale, lower them. And we're sticking with these 2, so it's just continually moving with left arm, right leg. Focus on a line of tension from the tips of your fingers to the tips of your toes. And try to make that arm and leg move simultaneously so that as they're lifting at the exact same time, they're coming to the floor at the exact same time. The other arm and leg are just a part of your anchor. You're gently pushing those down into the floor. And can we check in on the abdominals, making sure they're still with us? And let's go for 4 more lifts here. 4, big exhale. 3, 2, and last one. Letting that go, shaking it off. And when you're ready, you're just going to bring your focus to the other pair, right arm, left leg. Keeping now the left hand and the right leg are part of your anchor. Exhale, floating them up. Inhale, lowering down. And just sticking with this pair, focusing on really fluid movement here. As they touch the floor, they just have a split second before they go back up. And trying to have the arm and the leg touching the floor at the exact same time. Exhaling up, inhaling down. Think about the back of your shoulder, lifting that arm. 3 more here. 3, 2, and last one. Awesome. Bringing your hands back under your head and letting your head rest on the floor. Let's bring the legs nice and parallel so your kneecaps are facing down. We're going to be hovering both legs up and then coming into some hamstring curls. So the curls will happen as the knees stay in the air, and it's just going to be 1 inch, maybe 2, that your knees come off, and then we'll be hamstring curling from there. So when you're ready, put some energy into the body, lift through the abdominals, squeeze your glutes, and hover both legs off the floor. Okay, from here, take a breath in. Exhale, heels to the bum. Inhale, point your toes and reach. The legs stay up the whole time. Hamstring curl. Point and reach. Flexing the feet, heels towards the bum. And inhale, reaching them out. Exhale. Use this as an opportunity to really notice your abdominals underneath you. Big, strong exhale as you pull in. Thinking about the backs of the legs, the glutes are working hard. If you're feeling your lower back here, your knees might be too high. So just let them come down a little bit. And let's do 3 more. Point and reach. Exhale, pull in, squeeze. Reach and pull in. And last one. And pull in. Bringing the legs out, let's flutter them. Moving from the hip, Quick little flutter. Long, deep breaths. Pointing your toes. Two more breaths. See if you can drop a little tension out of your shoulders. And last one. Letting that go, releasing the legs to the floor. Wiggle your hips. And when you're ready, pushing through to your shell stretch. And just enjoying that shell stretch. It's going to feel so good after that extension. Breathe deeply into the lower back. Allow the tailbone to soften and reach towards the heels. Okay, you guys, we're going to come all the way through onto our seat. We're going to sit down and bring the legs wide. So, as wide as you feel comfortable with. Doesn't have to be extreme. It can just be average. And we're going to walk our hands out and find a spine stretch forward. I want you to visualize that your spine is the shape of a rainbow. It comes up out of the pelvis and rounds down. We want to try to keep reaching the back of the rib cage up towards the ceiling so that you get that nice little lift here and you're not sinking towards the floor. Keeping your abdominals on here to support your back. And just breathe deeply. Think about the tension in the backs of your legs, your hamstrings, your calves. All right, one more big deep breath there. Walking your hands back and bringing the legs in. We're going to let the left leg stay long and bend the right knee, planting your foot. Bringing your hands to heart center. Push down through this right foot, pushing down through the left heel. We're going to roll down. So you're going to be like dragging that heel along the floor, okay? We're coming to a half roll back. We're going to scoop in through the belly, draw in through your abdominals, find this nice rounded position, and then coming back up to a nice tall spine. So we start really tall. Exhale, rolling through. You should feel your tailbone coming into the mat, scooping in the belly, and then we come back up nice and tall. So we don't want to be hinging back. Our spine isn't going to stay straight as we go back. We're scooping in, hollowing out through the tummy, and puffing up through the back to find a little bit of a rounded half roll back, okay? Let's go again. Big breath in. Exhale, roll it back. Inhale, hold. Exhale, coming back up to a nice tall spine. Let's do two more. Rolling it back, come through the tailbone. And hold and come back up. One more. And hold and come back up. Let's switch. Now the right leg is long, the left foot is planted. Take a deep breath in. You should feel your sit bones underneath you here. Your spine is long. Exhale, rolling back. Drag that right leg with you. Hold and coming back up nice and tall. Big breath. Exhale, roll back. Hollow out through the tummy, keeping the chest over the hips. And hold and come back. Let's do two more. Holding there. And back up. Back, feel those sit sit bones come underneath you into the mat. And then last one here. Hold. And back up nice and tall. Finishing there, bend both knees. Float your arms out in front of you and gently and carefully roll back to the mat. And just take a moment to enjoy the feeling of finally lying face up. Okay, let both legs be long and cross your ankles at the end there. Hands come behind the head. We're going to be flexing up into an ab prep. While we hold that ab prep, we'll be floating both legs up and coming down. It's a tiny little float of the legs, not very high at all, okay? So let's gently nod the chin, take a big breath in. Exhale, flex up to look at your toes. Reaching the legs, inhale, hover the legs just a little. Exhale, lower the legs, and inhale, lower the head. So this is a tiny little ab prep. Gently nod the chin. We're bringing just the head and shoulders up. Your lower back stays the same. Inhale, float the legs up a little. Exhale, lower them down. And releasing the head back to the floor. Gentle nod, back up we go. Look at the toes. Inhale, hover them. Exhale, lower them. And back down. Let's do one more, and then we'll switch the ankles. Flexing up. Inhale, hover the legs. Exhale, lower them. And inhale, bringing that head down. Let's switch the ankles. And we'll come back up for 4 more reps. Gentle nod, and you're back. Flexing up, see your toes. Inhale, hover. Exhale, lower. And the head comes back. Think about dropping the rib cage towards the mat as you flex up, keeping it there as you move the legs, and then allowing the upper body to come back. Last one, flexing up, hover the legs, bring them back down, and releasing back. Awesome work, you guys. Release your arms out nice and wide, bending the knees. Let's just rock through the pelvis here a couple of times, finding your imprint. Making sure you're using your suspender muscles, your obliques, that connect your ribs to your hips on the front side of the body. And use those rather than your glutes to find that imprint. And once you find, on this next one, once you find that imprint, you're going to stick around there. Let your arms be open wide, palms are up, bringing both legs up to tabletop. So we have some options here. The full exercise, you're going to have your legs long, and we're doing scissors, okay? Now, you can try this with long legs and just go at a distance that works for you. So if that means your legs are floating up in the air like this rather than reaching for the floor, that's totally okay. Alternatively, the modification here is to keep your knees bent and keep your legs the exact same shape. So you're not allowing the lower leg to flop around. You're going to keep the legs nice and solid and move right from the hip, doing your scissors like this, okay? So those are all the options. It's also fine if the knee is bent with long legs, okay? So let's go up there now. Find that imprint, bring the legs up. If you're extending the legs, go ahead and do that. And then we're gonna start our movement. Exhale deeply as you draw one leg towards you and reach the other one away. So even if your legs are bent, you're doing the exact same thing, really focusing on your imprint, keeping your lower back on the mat as we move the legs. Big exhales, super strong exhales needed here. Our legs are heavy. In order to maintain that imprint, we really have to work hard. We have to breathe deeply. Nice work. Keep it up. Let's do 4 more. 4. Keep breathing. 3, 2, and 1. Bring both knees in and give your knees a little hug. Roll around on your lower back. Great job, you guys. From here, we're going to bring those legs back out. Actually, let's do a nice big stretch first, just to get out of our hip flexors a little bit. Release your rib cage, reach your legs, allow everything to go, and then release that, connect again with your center, bring the rib cage nice and heavy, and let's find our imprint again. This time the legs are going to be staying bent to start, and we're going to be flexing up to hold, and then we're going to go into our single leg stretch legs. So the modification here is to keep your head down and just work through this range of motion with your legs, really supporting your abdominals, keeping your lower back on the mat, okay? The full exercise, let's bring our hands behind our head, nod the chin and flex up to look at your thighs. We're gonna stay here, keep your chin off of your chest and reach the legs. Let's breathe. Think about drawing your armpits to your hips. And keep your eyes on your thighs. Big exhales here. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Keep breathing. 1. Bring the knees in. Lower the head. Exhale, flex it back up. We're here for some crunches. Lower down. Exhale, flex up. Just notice that movement of your upper spine. Your lower spine is staying in the mat, and we're just getting some mobility in the upper. Exhale deeply, dropping the belly button into the mat, into the spine below you. And back. Exhale up. Inhale back. And back. Let's do 2 more. You've got this. Flex it up. And back. Last one. Back down. Open the arms and tap your toes. We're almost there. This is a long set of abs. We're tapping the toes, breathing deeply. I know you feel your hip flexors. We're working those too, but if you breathe deeply and really connect with your abdominals, those muscles will take some of the work out of your hip flexors. Let's do 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the knees in again. And let's just circle the femurs. So take your knees in your hands and just circle the legs. And let's go the other way as well. Awesome. Whew, let that go. Come down into your butterfly. Allow the thighs to open. And let's press our hands into the tops of our thighs, right below your hip bones. And just massage your hip flexors a little bit there, like you're trying to push your legs away. All right. And from here, let's turn onto our side. Let your bottom arm be long, using it as a pillow here, okay? And then bring your legs out long below you and let them come ahead just a little bit so you can see your toes, okay? So we don't want them straight out, and we definitely don't want them behind us. They're gonna be just slightly ahead of us. And from here, we'll be lifting both legs up at the same time, squeezing the inner thighs. You're going to plant this top hand. When we come up, you're pushing through both hands. So notice this hand underneath me is also pushing down. We're going to look over our shoulder and lift both legs up, squeezing our inner thighs. Then we're going to inhale and lower back down. Okay? So plant both hands. Nice, good contact with your hands here. Take a deep breath in. Start to squeeze your inner thighs. Exhale. Push down into both hands and look over your shoulder at your toes. Inhale down. Exhale up. And down. Now in the sideline position, we have to connect with the belly button by drawing it into us so that we don't sink down into the mat with the underside obliques. Stay connected. Exhale up. Inhale down. Just peering over your shoulder. You should be feeling this right above your hip, here in your side body, into your obliques. And let's do 3 more. 3, 2, and last one. Up, lowering the head. Bring the legs back up to that hover. And we're going to do one-way scissors. The top leg goes back, the bottom leg goes forward, and then they meet in the middle. And we just repeat that position so they don't switch. The top leg is always going back, and the bottom leg is always going forward. Exhale back. Inhale. Exhale back. So we're really working that upper oblique. Keep your belly button connected here. The head is down. Exhale, reach, and back, moving from the hip. The legs are nice and straight. And let's do 4 more. 4, big exhales. 3, 2, and last one. Let that go. And then bring your knees in. And let's just come up and come all the way around to the other side. Using that, now your left arm will be down below you, or whichever side you did first. Push that palm down into the floor gently. This top hand also will be pushing down. And just make sure your feet are on that little angle. Okay, so from here, we'll start with that hover, pushing down into your feet, into your hands. Squeeze your inner thighs, lift the legs, and look over your shoulder. And coming back down. Getting that nice little side bend. And back. Usually about the 4th or 5th rep is when you start to really feel those obliques. The legs are lifting and the upper spine is side bending to look over at the toes. Exhaling up and back. Can you bring your belly button a little closer to you? Should be starting to get warm in that upper side oblique on the top. Keep reaching through the legs, squeezing those inner thighs. Let's do 3 more here. 3, 2, and last one. Up, lowering the head and the legs, and then bringing the legs back up for that one-way scissor. Top leg goes back, bottom leg forward. They meet in the middle. Exhale, back and in. Keeping the legs as straight as you can, reaching that top leg back. Exhale. Point your toes and reach the energy through the legs. should be nice and warm now in that upper oblique. And let's do 4 more. 4, reach. 3, 2, keep reaching through the legs. And 1. Whew. Letting that go, bend your knees in. And let's turn all the way onto our back. Bringing the legs long. Let's bring the arms overhead, clasp your hands. And you're going to walk your feet over to the left corner of your mat. And then once they're there, you're going to drag your spine into a side bend, coming into what I call a crescent moon or crescent moon stretch. So we're getting a nice stretch through the side body. Now we just worked the side body, so you definitely should feel this. So the feet and the arms are all off in the same direction. And we're just getting a nice big pull through the side of our torso. Breathe into the front of the hip, into the spaces between your ribs. Awesome. Walk your feet back to center, and then let the feet go all the way to the other corner. And when you're ready, you'll bring the whole body over that way as well, finding that nice big length down the side of your body. And breathe into that space. And then let's bring the feet back to center. Allow the rest of the body to come into that center of your mat. Let's bend the knees, plant the feet, and we're just going to roll up through the spine, massaging the spine, finding our bridge, and then placing the spine back down like it's melting back into the floor. Just really taking your time, coming through any sticky spots in your spine, just really taking your time. This is about the spinal articulation. Our glutes are working to lift the hips, but we're really focusing on the movement in the spine. Start off neutral and roll up through the spine, all the different levels of your spine until you find your bridge. Take a breath in and then take your time placing each vertebra down individually as you come down through the spine. And let's do that one more time. Start in neutral and then roll through the tailbone, the lowest part of your spine, and then start to pick up the hips and peel that spine off of the mat. Can you drop your belly button down to your spine just a little bit, supporting your back? And then take your time, melt back into the mat. Awesome. And then we're going to bring the feet nice and wide, open your arms so your palms are facing up, and come through some windshield wipers side to side, dropping one thigh inwards and letting the other thigh tip out. Try to keep your pelvis nice and heavy so that you feel at least a portion of your pelvis on the mat at every point of this movement. And let's let both of the knees tip over to the left. Drag your right heel towards your right bum cheek just a little bit, and then tuck the tailbone very gently under, hopefully getting a nice opening through the front of your right hip. If you're not feeling anything in the front of your right hip, you're going to just bring that heel a little bit closer to the hip, to the right bum cheek, okay? Breathe into that space, releasing some of the tension in your quad and in your hip flexor. And gently, gently coming out of that movement, allow the legs to tip over to the other side. So now we're over to the right, taking that left heel, bring it a little bit closer to your left bum cheek. And then once you're there, you're tucking, very gently tucking the tailbone under and hopefully opening up the front of that hip. That can be quite intense, so just be careful and gentle with yourself. I certainly feel it more on my left side than I do on my right. And just start to breathe slower and deeper here as we cool down. Awesome, and gently coming out of that, bring the knees together, turn to your side, and coming up to seated. Let's sit cross-legged if you can. If you don't like that, then just leave your legs out long, that's fine too. And let's just take our palms, push them out, and open the chest. Reaching through the palms of your hands, try to keep your spine nice and tall here. If you need to sit on a cushion, that's totally fine. Nice openness through the collarbone, through the front of the shoulders, the chest. And then let's bring the palms towards each other, come all the way through to eagle arms, wrapping up your arms. And once you're there, gently moving the elbows up and down. Pulling those shoulder blades away from each other. And then open the arms and wrap them up the other way. One way is always much more awkward than the other. Sometimes I can't even get this side wrapped up, depending on how my left shoulder is feeling. Just up and down very gently with the elbows. Stay tall in your spine here. Awesome, and let's just let that go. Roll your shoulders back, up to the ears, squeeze them back and around. And you, my friends, are all finished. Thank you so much for being here with me for this last class of the year. Classes will be getting started again in the second week of January. Actually, there's going to be a class in the first week of January on the 6th. That'll be our very first class back. So anyways, have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you so much for coming and trying out my classes. It's been a pleasure spending time with you at 6 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, you guys, take good care. Bye.